Hey everyone, it's Calvin, also known as Rummer, and this is Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney Justice for All. We are in the middle of grilling Miss Andrews, which feels kind of terrible because I feel kind of bad for Miss Andrews. But we're gonna have to do it. Let's talk about this guitar case, I suppose. What is that? Taking a look at the crime scene photo. The remains of the vase are scattered on the floor, and what is wrong with that? If the guitar case was open when the vase fell, the glass shard should be inside, not outside the case. What is your point, Wright? The case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over? Is that all? No, think back to what Miss Andrews testified to. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else. Yes, that's right. She did implicitly say she didn't touch the guitar case. But this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. It has no bearing to this case at all. That may very well be. However, the empty guitar there's his bluff face. Phoenix, it's okay. Does seem to have no relation to this case, doesn't it? What if something else was in the case, though? It does seem that there is no deeper meaning to the guitar case. Well, Mr. Wright, do you think we need to hear more details about the guitar case? Yes. The empty guitar case. I believe this is a crucial piece of the puzzle. I can't believe anyone would reach for straws like this, but it is you. I can't believe I'm doing this either. All right, I'll follow along for now. Miss Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar. See, now, my thing is, like, it could have been like, okay, let's take a look at this for a second. My thing is, like, yeah, it has Karita's fingerprints. Right? But like she could have easily just like worn gloves or something, right? Right? Like am I wrong for thinking this? Am I an idiot for thinking this? Let's just go on with the case. Let's just see what we can do with this. Yes, Your Honor. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. Again, your fingerprints aren't on it. So, it's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. Again, as for why I opened the case, even I don't know. Again, your fingerprints weren't on it, so... It looks like this really wasn't it wasn't a very important point. This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling by now, it's almost comforting. I beat you in every case. Edgewood, let's not forget this. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and start the cross-examination. I know what we're gonna do. Using any way to change the topic, a convenient escape for a weak man. Edward's so cool. He's so cool. Edward's a cool guy. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have... No, you didn't. You did not. You did not open this case. There's something fishy going on here. There is no way you would want to open the guitar case. Why would you say that? It's elementary, my dear. Oh. Because the only fingerprints on this guitar case are those of the victim. Oh, she's such cool pants. I said it last time as well, didn't I? What is it, Miss Andrews? You shouldn't assume that I must have left prints because I touched the case. What? What do you mean? What if I were to tell you I was wearing gloves at the time? Why were you wearing gloves? Gloves? Why would you be wearing gloves? It was the night of the awards ceremony. Okay, that does make sense. Like, I suppose, like, you know, like, how do I say it? Like, I suppose, wait, no. Well, I was gonna say that, like, again, I don't go to balls and dinners, but like a very common like piece of clothing for like women would be like the kind of like gloves that go like gloves in general, right? Very nice gloves. I don't know, guys. I don't go to balls. It was the night of the award ceremony, so of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes, now I remember. I'm almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves. Wait a second. 1 second. Hold on a second. I remember this clearly because this is one of the biggest parts of the case. Your fingerprints are on the wine glass, but not but not on the case. You're wearing gloves? You took off your gloves? Was that it? Was that it? Was that it? I see. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems the witness was wearing gloves at the scene of the crime. That's strange. You were wearing gloves. Isn't that a little strange? Why is that strange? Do you have something that would prove I'm not wearing gloves at the time? Yes, I do. Yes! I remember this so clearly because this is one of the biggest parts of the case. I have your proof right here. This wine glass. The wine glass? You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Ah. Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice, wouldn't you think it was just a little strange? That you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case? Oh no, we shattered her glasses! Oh, she's a second pair. See, this is like adds to her character so much because she's so wants to be like seen as calm and collected that she'll even keep like a second pair of glasses. Well, most people have second pairs, but right on them. Order, order, order! Looks like you hit the nail on the head this time. I did, but like, you know. What do you mean? I believe that guitar case plays a very important role here. You do? But it's just an empty case. I wonder if it really was empty though. But the guitar, the bright red guitar was in the studio. I think this is what I was saying. Phoenix, drop all your presumptions. It could be something else in the case. What was in the guitar case was not the bright red guitar. You don't mean it was a bright white guitar? Wait, that's not right either. Come on, Phoenix. I admit it would be unnatural for someone to do that. My thing is, what if like, cause she came out of the room with the Nickel Samurai costume, right? What if there's a second costume in there? So the witness was not wearing gloves despite the fact cause wait one second, I know I'm showing too many of these pictures, but I want to talk through this. This is like, cause if she walked out of the room with the Nickel Samurai costume and Madame Garb was already in the room with the Nickel Samurai costume, then there had to be another Nickel Samurai costume in the room. So she was wearing the Nickel Samurai costume, it must have been in the case. Your Honor, this is obviously a defense's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court toward an unrelated topic and lull us all into his misguided... Get him, Phoenix. No. Your Honor, please recall that Miss Andrews had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case, which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it is wide open in the photo of the crime scene. I'm sure this guitar case has some relation to the murder. If you are so sure, Wright, then I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim, correct? Please, enlighten us to why the guitar case has anything at all to do with the murder. Can you do that, Mr. Wright? I can. Well, let's suppose for a second that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case. The bright red guitar was not being the only thing? You don't mean to suggest that the bright black... We're not doing this. We're not doing this, Judge. So you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty? Is that right, Wright? I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove. Deflate that head of yours. You haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside the case at the time of the murder? It was the Nickel Samurai costume, right? So can we present Lada's photo? And be like, hey, this is a photograph. Yes, but what's important is what's in the picture, Your Honor. In the picture? It doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I'm proposing is, inside the guitar case was the Nickel Samurai, the hero's very own costume. What? I love that face that he does, it's brilliant. Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Right, are you saying that the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there be to doing something like that? To frame Madame Garde? That's insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews? I mean, that face alone would I'd convict her. Like, I wouldn't feel good about it, but you know, you'd have to. I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support a preposterous idea? I don't know, like, maybe? Just outside the door was investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot of, correct? You mean this photo? Order! Order! It looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we? Nice job, Phoenix. Well, by the way, guys, I'm sorry in the last episode, I didn't put a warning about the graphic, like, suicide stuff at the start. I completely forgot because there was only one moment in the whole episode when I was editing, so I apologize for that if anyone, you know. Well, you see, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later. So the real murderer's hiding inside a costume. Wait 1 second, Your Honor. The Nickel Samurai's costume would have been Mr. Madden Guard's. How cool is it? Like, we don't get this stuff with Von Karma. We don't get this stuff with, like, any other lawyer other than Edgeworth. This really intense battle, this back and forth, that happens really, truly, respectfully only between us and Edgeworth. It really does. Why would something of the defendants be in the victim's room? And inside the guitar case of all places? True. That is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was the Nickel Samurai costume doing inside the guitar case? It was a soul from a guard. I don't think so. Like, every person would have a spare costume, right? Like, right? Mr. On Guard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we were talking about was a spare one. What? Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nickel Samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel? Yes, that is what I'm saying. And how do you explain that the costume was inside the guitar case? It would mean that the victim himself had brought the spare to the ceremony on purpose. But Bob, why? The victim, Mr. Corrida, was a jamming ninja. Why would he secretly bring the Nickel Samurai spare costume with him? What would be the reason for such a peculiar act? And therein lies the sticking point. What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Yeah, we need to find out exactly why he would do this. Like, cause like, again, I'm not like entirely sure like what we're gonna be doing here, but Edward at least, like, Edward at least probably knows what what we're going for, right? He's gonna help us. I've just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue. Huh? No, I just... Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the Nickel Samurai spare costume? Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer, and then answer with gusto. I believe in you. Alright, this is what I think. The reason the victim brought the Nickel Samurai spare costume to the hotel was... What? What? Cool picture though. Okay, this is a long shot. This is a long shot. But what if one of the biggest things that that always I thought was strange, but I thought was just a joke. I thought was just like a joke the whole time. Was a Manangar would be like, I didn't know anything about it, no post-stage show. I thought they were trying to just say that he doesn't plan anything. For, like, it's always just his manager. So we forgot about the stage show from the start. What if Juan was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and do a conference afterwards to ruin Manangar's career or something? I mean, we're only going to lose one. Like, let's just present this. What is this? On the night of the murder after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference. A press conference? Yes, the Nickel Samurai is supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well. For one, you're not making something up, right? But what struck me as strange was that Mr. On Guard himself, yes, said he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night. Yes! Yes! But how can that be? The way I see it, that can only mean one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. One, Corrida himself. Like, I don't know, like, again, we don't know, I don't know one Corrida, but, like, you know. The victim? Yes. The spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Corrida was going to hold a press conference as the Nickel Samurai. I don't know if he can prove this, though, can we? I don't know, this can be hard to prove. He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference? But why would the victim do such a thing? That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something. And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Corrida, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Mount en Garde. Yes, I guess that is what I would mean. But if that's the case, that's not a confession. That's public disclosure. But if he's dressed as the Nickel Samurai, he could pass it off as him being Mount en Garde. Miss Andrews, I can see why you are pros at what you're doing. What you do. Pardon me? Yes, just as you say. The press conference was set up by Juan. Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this. I was one and he asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him, that was also me. You? Juan bet everything on the Jammin' Ninja this year. If he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought anyway. He was going to ruin him, huh? It looked like somehow Juan had his hands, had in his hands a secret so powerful that would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed. What? And do you know what the secret of Mr. en Garde's is, Miss Andrews? That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is. Ah, I see. I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone. But that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt, after all. Protect Mr. en Garde? And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could please tell us the truth about your behavior. Yes, Your Honor. I understand. I love Miss Andrews, but how can we trust her at all? She's been lying over and over again, now just admitted that she was withholding information completely from the court. Which, like, look, not trying to play favorites or anything, because like I think everybody's been doing that, right? Like, everybody's been withholding information from the court. It's not just her. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what, and he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course. The button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him. What? This does account for everything. Well, I am the logical type. We're finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit. If the defense can find no faults in the testimony, I'm ready to make a ruling. Hold on a second. Hold, Judge. Okay, look, I know that sometimes you can be, like, off the mark, okay? But Judge, she, like, how many times do people have to lie in your courtroom before you're like, this is too much. This is a bit too much, you know? Like, to me, like, okay, this is me personally. In real life, if someone lies to me twice, and then they tell me something a third time, I'm not gonna believe the third time, right? If someone says to you, like, hey, the sky is green, and then you're like, that's not true. And then they go, hey, do you know dirt is actually made of candy? And you eat it, and it's not true. And then, like, the third time, they're like, hey, did you know that foxes can fly? I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna trust you, buddy. You know? Like, no, you're not gonna trust them the third time. Please keep in mind as you cross-examine Mr. Wright. Looks like somehow everything swung to the opposite end of the scale again. That just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. Let's see what we're gonna press here. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Okay, what's this feeling? What's this feeling? Would you say that was your intuition speaking to you? Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. Huh? If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things. 3 things? A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. And if you think these three things through, the answer becomes quite clear. Miss Andrews killed one Garita. You should have already known that, Phoenix. Didn't teach that to us in school, at least. Not from what I remember. May I continue now? Sure, why not? Matt had to kill one no matter what. Again, like, please. So you say this need came from the press conference? Yes. Do you know why Juan chose that event and that hotel for the conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt on guard. And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews? Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume. But I'm sure Mr. On Guard himself didn't know anything about the press conference. Oh, really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference? Anyway, the important thing here is that the information was not in your testimony. Yes, I agree, Miss Andrews. Please correct your testimony if you please. Grasping at straws now, are you, Mr. Wright? You've lied 3 times! You've been withholding information. Stop acting like you're the one in charge here. I love you, Andrews, but oh my god. Oh my god, this is the only game that like frustrates me, but in the most fun way possible. I know what his motive was, but I don't have any way to prove I'm right. And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. But didn't you already testify earlier that Matt on Guard was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me that that too was a lie so you could cover Mr. Matt on Guard? I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time. I keep trying, but I can't find Wendy Oldbag would be better as a judge. What is wrong with you? I can't say the same for the people here in this courtroom, however. The judge is glaring straight at Mia. He's glaring at you, smart guy. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course. The button and the knife. No, sorry. Look. You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage. Then, what about the button? We already explained all of this. We literally gave evidence as to why the case was open. There could have been a costume inside. I know it's not perfect evidence. It was clear from the crime scene that the victim and the murderer fought. I'm so frustrated. I'm so frustrated. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the Jammin' Ninja's costume. You're talking about this button, correct? That button was found in the plates of Matt's Hakama, isn't that correct? Wouldn't think that makes it very decisive. I would know. I'm so frustrated. I'm sorry, okay? Like, this game gets to me. Like, I love this game to death, and that's why it gets to me so freaking much. I care about these court cases, which I didn't think I would at the start of this game. But I'm here, like, actually, like, caring about the defendant. Looks like you are foxed again. No! I wasn't out, maybe a little bit. Like, I understand that, like, it's not exactly, like, decisive evidence just saying that, like, the costume could have been in there. I understand that. I'm not dumb here. I'm not trying to be dumb here. I'm just saying that, like, she's just repeating the same things we had at the start of the case. But then, like, I was trying to disprove it. And everyone was like, oh, that's a really good point. And she just said the exact same thing later on. Anyway, the knife doesn't prove D-Robot playing Fortnite. Doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Oh, she's so awesome. She's so awesome. Thank goodness Mia can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes. Miss Andrews, for Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony. Like... Okay. That button was torn off with Jordan during the fight with Matt. But so, did she change it? I didn't have an alibi for using the murder. The was from the fight with Matt, but I'm Matt's manager, so I felt the need to protect him. That was torn off during a fight with Matt. But I felt the need to protect him. Okay. So that's the... Yeah, I know. I got this. Because I think I know exactly what we're gonna do. The fight with Matt is very strange to me. For one reason only. And I remember, again, this is something I've been waiting to come up. I've been waiting so much for this to come up. Here, I'll show you. Maybe I'm wrong. He was strangled with a scarf and then stabbed with a knife. To strangle someone with a scarf like that, you'd have to go from behind, right? You wouldn't be able to like strangle them from the front with a scarf. So how could the button get on the Hakama if there was like much of a fight? I don't think there was a crazy amount of a fight. Let's just present this. This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. Strangulation? The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died. And what does that mean? Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off of the costume. When? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly. Which, oh, I didn't even think of it that way. Oh, that's way smarter than what I had. Okay, so, like, yeah, there's blood on it, right? So, there's no, like, well, you could get blood through strangulation, right? But, like, yeah, there's blood on the button from a stab wound. It's impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. That's right, Miss Andrews. There was no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off the victim's already dead body. Order, order, what is the meaning? What is the meaning of this, Wright? So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim had already died? What does that change? It means that they didn't have a struggle. It means that, like, they didn't come off in a struggle. It means that someone would have to rip off a button. Unless the Jamming Ninja has a shitty costume that just fell off. Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? We know this button was not torn off during the fight. So the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this off the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it? Mr. Wright, does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with the button? To pin the crime on guard. There's only one logical reason for doing something like that. This is like, and I'm not being an arsehole, but like this feels terrible because I don't want to like fuck up here Adrian Andrews' life because it's clear that she's still hurting. It was to pin the crime on Mr. On Guard. There was no way anyone would put a bloodied button on their own pants. That's right. Mr. On Guard was set up. By the real killer, of course. And the real murderer is? Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer then? Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet. Not until the very end. I agree. I 100% agree. We're in the courtroom with Miles freaking Edgeworth. It's Adrian Andrews, and I feel terrible about this, but Miss Adrian Andrews, I choose you. Okay, she's not a Pokemon. You are Mr. Creed's killer. But what? I kind of like I feel again like I'm gonna stop talking about how I feel bad, but I just feel bad. This is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence to support your charge? Any evidence? A lot of evidence points to Miss Andrews. All this evidence. How preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't? Can I? Would you care to test me? Then, what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion on Mr. On Guard naturally. A knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Then, what about the button that was found on Matt's Hakama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he'd already died. The only people who could have done so were the person were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. On Guard was the real killer, there is no way he would have put such incriminating evidence of his own Hakama. Ah! She has so many pairs of glasses. The only person who could have put this button into the Mr. On Guard's Hakama is the person who went to wake him from his nap. Which is you, yet again, Miss Andrews. I see. What about the empty guitar case? That is also another piece of evidence that is incriminates Miss Andrews. That costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now who could have known that there was such a costume inside the guitar case? It could only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And the person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. No, I feel so bad! But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case. And it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. That's right! That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposely left fingerprints on the glass to show that yes, indeed, she was the classic days discoverer of the dead body. This is crazy, Phoenix. And to top it all off, there is this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe this nickel samurai is Mr. On Guard. He would be too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? Please, stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time. No, Edward's gonna... Miss Andrews? I refuse to test it. What? What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can't incriminate me. Well, yes. You are absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does... But, like, in this sense, right? In this sense, I suppose it could go two ways. You could see it as her trying to, like, avoid being, arrested. Or at the same time, you could see it as her... I suppose, like not wanting to be falsely accused. The law does provide a way to avoid self-incrimination by allowing a witness not to testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves. What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. On Guard's room. Oh, I kind of miss Von Karma. Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? Oh, all right. So she gave her all the tips. That's it. That's when Francesca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews not to testify things look bad. So Von Karma thinks she's the killer. Von Karma definitely thinks she's the killer then. You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there's still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done? What's wrong, Wright? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence? What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. It is. It's not. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Edgeworth. Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Kurita. Miss Andrews, you did not want to kill Mr. Kurita? I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering. But Miss Andrews! If you do that, it will be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think? I agree. Maybe so or maybe not. There's nothing to prove either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I will be guilty of due to my silence. Oh shit. Mia, what should we do? Somehow, we've landed in the worst possible situation. I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Andrea Andrews has refused to testify, and the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof. But there's enough information to get a not guilty verdict, right? There's enough information to say that, like, Madame was, like, you know, not guilty. Sorry, my phone went off, but it was just a freaking weather warning. Not weather warning, like, just tell me what the weather is. But that's not true. In this situation, there's only one thing the court can do, and that is to declare a recess. What? I request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter. And at tomorrow's... No, we're not doing this. We don't have tomorrow. If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial. Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya... But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... It is not impossible for this trial to continue. Edgeworth! Edgeworth! Mr. Edgeworth, what are you... It's true that Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation were something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony. Yes, that is very true. Actually, there's one little thing that I'm curious about. Miss Andrews, when you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes, and? I can't help but think at how unnatural it is, I agree. Usually when one finds a body, they're shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice. Shaken, not stirred. That's great. So my actions were unusual, but I've already... Before you speak, I want you to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Your Honor, I would like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. I'm in love, Edward. I don't know what this is about, what it is about Edward today, but I can't get a good read of him. Is he a friend or foe? I just don't know. The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you please. Here we go. The glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and I saw it in a messy state. And the one, he was sitting there slumped over, tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something. There was a knife in his chest! There was a knife in his chest! When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked over the flowers. I fully believe that like... It's so hard. It's so hard because when you care, like, when you're doing these cases, you not only care about your own defendant, but you start to care about the people on the stand as well. Even though they're lying sometimes, you understand that they're going through shit in their lives, and it's really difficult to, like, really, like condemn them completely. I know, like, like, people will be like, well, in real life you would. Well, in real life, of course you would. But this is a game, you know? It's a video game, like, that, like, has these interesting characters that have all, like, you grow attached to over the course of a full case. So you poured that glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you say that in your earlier testimony? I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, then there's nothing left. I know. Edgeworth, what the heck is going on with that brain of yours? Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Well, I'll begin my cross-examination when I found the body. I know what I'm pressing on. 1 second. Not pressing on. I'm gonna present evidence. Hold on. This one? Yeah. Okay. We're gonna present the knife. Oh no! Actually, no. No, this photo instead, because like yeah. I was gonna present the knife, but I think this is better. So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him? No, not at all. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body? Yeah, he had a knife in his chest. He's just sleeping in the corner. Oh my god. Ah. What is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There was a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Corita's chest. Anyone who saw the scene would have immediately thought that here was a dead man. Yes. Well, you see, I doubt a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who fainted, and then nonchalantly go pour something to drink. Your point is? Miss Andrews, your testimony just now, it was all one giant lie. Yep, it was. Like, really, honestly. That you were the real killer. No! Oh, that's horrible. You okay? This life is terrible. It looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Miss Matt Angard, is not guilty after all. But that's impossible. You're wrong. Miss Andrews, try to have some composure. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt. I swear it. He was the one who killed one. But you were the one who refused to testify. And your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because... Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you? I refuse to testify. Shit. Then there's no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Manangard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated. Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt, yes. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't. Yeah, she's keeping her composure even more than we think. Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Manangard. No, Miles! No! Please! Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time. What? The reason is quite simple. Oh shit. The witness has yet to speak the absolute real truth. The absolute real truth? What are you... Witness, don't you understand yet? Huh? I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head, but as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Manangard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. Oh shit, Edward is really good. Edward is really good. What? I was told if I spoke then it would be all over, and Matt would never be declared guilty. I heard from a detective one time, and on like a TV show, that like it's actually very true. The way to like in some cases, not always in a trial, I suppose. In this case, it's different. But he was walking in the show. He was walking by a person who got arrested. He believed was innocent, and he just goes, "I find the worst people to interrogate are the ones who don't say a word." And it's like usually that could work, right? If you don't say anything, then you know it's hard to get in trouble. But the problem is she said stuff beforehand, before she went silent. If she was silent through the whole court case, then it might have been a different story. But you know, what in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it? I can't speak about it. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm skipping dialogue a lot because I'm forgetting to like read it. I'm so sorry about that. I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. Is Francisca von Karma? Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly to the words of another. So she just wait. So she needs like a. So you're saying she needs an anchor? So von Karma became her anchor because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. then right now, Miss Andrews is... Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver based on karma. Don't say a word no matter what happens. If you do, Madame Gar will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now, and she's clinging to them. It's so good for her character. This is so fucking well written. Then, what should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across anything like this. But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is get her not guilty. That is my only priority. Yes, Phoenix, for sure. It wasn't me. I'm begging you, please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help, please, someone help me. Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor. The court can't continue on like this, therefore I'd like to hear what you intend to do. What I intend to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? Wright, I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did, and what she did not do. And think about who was the real mastermind behind this crime. Who's the real mastermind? Isn't that... No. No way. There's no one else that could be except the woman crying over there. No way. Come on now, what will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? I have to win a complete acquittal today. There's no way around that. But I can't bring myself to do it like this. Not when she's making a face like that. No. I don't want to say just in case I'm completely wrong, but I have an idea of who actually did this. Miss Andrews, I would like to know what you're really hiding. Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you're doing? Sure, Mr. Angar would get an acquittal, but in his place, you will be found guilty. Is this how you really want this trial to end? But be quiet. How dare you? You're trying to trick me. That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it is clear that the defense theory is the truth. You're wrong. I don't think she did it anymore. I don't think she did it anymore. What a shame. I had hoped things wouldn't come to this. However, what is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court. Stop. What are you doing, Edgeworth? Mr. Edgeworth? This witness. How should I put this? She has an illness. Wait, what? What? And because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past. Ah, Jesus. Stop, please stop. No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here. That's the second part of the suicide report. Attempted suicide report. What will you do now, witness? You know what I'm about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman is known as Adrian Andrews. Pitiful, dude. It's a bit much. The secret of her dependent nature. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world. Please, please stop, I beg you. If people find out, I'll... If you're going to say you would choose death, that is no concern to me. Dude! Edgeworth, how can you be so cold? However, before you die... Edgeworth! I will pull the truth from your still breathing lips. Edge! Lay off the edge! So you tell the court yourself or shall I? Either is fine with me. I'll talk, but please help me. We're gonna help you. If you're not the killer, we will help you. Nothing matters anymore. Like, we will help you if you're not the killer, for sure. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted. Honest. When I realized he was dead, that's when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure that there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash to Matt's room. And then, I stabbed Juan's dead body with the knife and ripped off the button. Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's rooms, I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's why I ended up using the Nickel Samurai's costume. Stab the body with the knife? Yeah, so it's not her! I believe every single word she said. I know that contradicts what I said earlier, but she's in a different state now. certainly cowardly man. What do you mean by all of this? It might take this court a little while to understand, but... this is the truth. The real killer is Matt. The scumbag of a man. I'll never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again, just like last time. Last time? So Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Juan Carita, in the chest with a knife. However, she didn't do it with murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt on guard for the murder. And this is her crime. How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer? Mr. Wright, please get over your shock of commence the cross-examination. I can't see any lies, but we'll press whatever we can. Because I honestly think she's telling the truth here. No, we're gonna press the first statement first, sorry. But you could tell from the state of the room was in, there must have been a fight. Are you telling the truth when you said you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck, but that scarf was part of the Jamming Ninja costume, so I didn't think anything about it was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up, and went to pour the juice. When I realized he was dead, yeah, we're pressing this as well. Again, I don't know what to do. Everything seems very truthful. What is this plan you had? I knew right away the murderer was Matt. I knew because one, he was going to expose Matt's weakest point to the world. So Matt did to stop Juan and silence him for good. That's when I thought, I should forge some evidence to pin this crime on Matt. So the forged piece of evidence was the knife and the button. The first thing that came to mind was to plant the knife. Yeah, we're pressing everything because again, I think that was so you get the knife correct. The knife Matt used at dinner had the fingerprints all over it. I thought if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. I slipped in, took the knife, and returned to the scene of the crime. And then I stabbed Juan's... Okay, we're gonna have to press this too. So you were the one to stab the victim with that knife? It gives me goosebumps to think about it now. What a horrible thing I did, but at the time I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. Then when I stabbed Juan's body, I suddenly realized something. If I used the button somehow, I could make Matt look even more suspect. So you thought to rip one of the buttons off and then plant it on Matt on guard's hakama. Yes, that's what I planned to do. But things never go that smoothly, do they? Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's... Wait, so, yeah. I'm pressing everything because honestly, guys, I think like everything is just... There's nothing really wrong here. There was a woman with the camera at the ready, loitering in the hallway. I'm willing to bet my spikes it was Lotta, yeah. There was also a woman with a ray gun at the ready, pacing back and forth. That's old bag for you. I'd already been caught and made into a big scoop for certainly weekly tabloid once, so I couldn't very well go out looking like myself to get caught again. And that's why I ended up using the Nickel Samurai costume. You were the one who prepared that costume, weren't you? Yes, I took it from none of these are working, by the way. I took it from Global Studios. I also put it in Juan's guitar case the day before the award ceremony. You did this in preparation for the press conference, correct? Yes, Juan wanted to wear that costume and hold a press conference in it. He was going to disclose Matt's big secret there. And what is the secret? That I don't know. Anyway, I thought that if I were to leave Juan's room in the Nickel Samurai's costume, then people would think that Matt was the real murderer. I was very careful not to leave any fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume. I think we've heard enough. So after that, you went back to Matt on guard's room to plant the button. Into Matt's hakama? Yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into a bag. I snuck out of the... So, like, it's like at this point, like, I still think that, like, I don't know. Like, this, to me, this proves his, like, innocence completely. Like, maybe it's just me. I skipped... Oh, God, I'm so sorry, guys. When I'm talking, I think that I've read the dialogue. I'm so sorry. I'll try to do better with that. My word, what does all this mean? Mr. Edward, is it? The real criminal is Matt on guard. Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk. Francisca, huh? She said that I should under no circumstances confess to what I had done. That if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words. Von Karma was trying to get her guilty because she was trying to set her up for this. So Von Karma could go free. Is Von Karma the fucking murderer? Is Von Karma the murderer? What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, we can be certain she's not the real killer. Wait, Your Honor, the defense still... Right. It's pointless. At this point in time, it is not possible to indict Miss Andrews on anything. Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points her to as the murderer. The cross-examination of the witness is over, and so is today's trial. You couldn't establish that the witness was the culprit, so please let it go, Miss Wright. But we also established that she framed Madame Garde. So is that grounds for, like, a not guilty? Like, there's no evidence to point to Madame Garde to the case now, to the crime. There's nothing. Nothing points him towards the crime now. How can he be even charged anymore? We proved that he's not even, like, part of the case. But, Mr. Edra, please place Miss Andrews under arrest for further questioning. Understood, Your Honor. The prosecution will arrange for her detention immediately. That is all. Court is adjourned for today. No! 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 No, 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 no! Oh, the cool chair. But, like, no. Holy shit. Today's trial, it's over. And I didn't win an acquittal. We should have won an acquittal, right? Am I crazy? Please, guys, I know, like, sometimes I get this lawyer stuff wrong, but, like, I feel like there's no evidence pointing to Matt towards it anymore, right? Would you mind if I asked you something? What is it? Before you leave the court today, I wonder if I might look at one thing. The card in your hand. It had my interest for quite some time now. What exactly is it? Oh, this... Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although, I didn't remember at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright. I remember just now. I found this in the room on that day. There's something so soft about her dialogue when she has this frame. Like, it feels like she's, you know, it's like really put together and stuff. The room? That day. Yes. I found this card when I discovered one's body. It's like a calling card. It was lying right next to him. You found that card? Next to the victim's body? I suppose I must have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. But it's not as if this card has any relevance to one's murder, right? Yeah, I guess not, but it's still a strange card, if you ask me. But as far as a clue to this case, I don't see why. Witness, that card. Give it to me. Wait, what? Do you have any idea what you have stupidly yet inadvertently done? This. I can't believe you hid this from me all this time. I didn't mean to. What is this all about? I've never seen Edgeworth so emotional before. You know this card? That card. What in the world is it? What does it mean? To be continued. I've been recording for an hour? Oh, wow. Guys, that's gonna do it for this video, but to summarize all my feelings is, I think Von Karma has something really, like, a lot to do with this case. Edward clearly has some kind of history with this card. I don't think that she's done it anymore, which is so cool that they've changed my whole perception on her. Also, she's a great character, fantastic character, really. And it's great how, like, she's been able to interact with, how they've, like, not developed her character, but, like, shown how her character relates to this case very well. Guys, thank you so much for watching. This video was long. This video is very long. I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.